Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CampusCare EdTalks. EdTalks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. So, our topic for discussion is how can educational institutes keep on check on the teachers and staff's mental health? And to express their views, we have with us Dr. Mala Mehra, Principal and Director of Honor College, Lucknow. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Morning. Pleasure, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, it's really good to have you here.
Thank you so much for inviting. Thank you so much.
Pleasure is all our, ma'am. So let's start off with the session, ma'am. And to start off with the session, I would, like to ask certain first question for the afternoon. Why should educational institutes keep a check on teachers and staff members' mental health?
Well, it's the most important thing because all of us, as management people, as principals, we have very high expectations of our teachers. See, the schools run on how the teacher is going to perform. So basically, managements forget that apart from just your employees, these teachers are also people that require care just like the children do. And therefore, it is very, very important to consider the teachers also as a large part of the growth of the institution. The institution surely grows by children and the number of children and all of the dynamics that an institution wants to go ahead with. But the mainstay of any institution is their teachers and their staff. That's how we go forward. And yes, we must take care of them and not only expect all of the time from them, but also give back to them.
Absolutely, ma'am. Moving forward to another question, ma'am. So, how keeping a check on mental health of students and staff will lead to an overall development?
And let's put it this way. The most important thing is this, that as I spoke earlier, and I said that there are expectations of the teachers and the students as well. Now, the mental health of a teacher is very, very important. Communication is key. Basically, what happens is that as principals, we have a huge number of children to take care of, and there are children in a class of 1:50, 1:70. There is so much pressure on these teachers to come through for all of these 50, 60, 70 odd children. Some schools, which are IB or they could be Cambridge or whatever, they have a student-teacher ratio that is very less. But most schools or maximum of schools, you're talking about 1:50 minimum teacher-student ratio. So now, in order for the growth of the child or for the teacher, number one, I personally feel that the teacher-student ratio should be brought down as a mandate to 1:40. It will have a happier lot of teachers, a happier lot of students, a lot more attention will be paid to the student, a lot more attention can be paid to the teacher, a lot more time and effort can be looked into the growth of the child, not only academically, but as a holistic growth of the child. So definitely my mainstay for mental health also happens to be a teacher-student ratio, which is good for both teacher and learner.
All right. So, ma'am, you said something related to communication as well. Would
Yes.
you like to elaborate? Yeah.
Yes. Now, see, post-COVID, what happened during COVID was a lot of schools did the Zoom platform, right? But we stuck to the WhatsApp platform because I felt that we need to communicate with the parents. In a Zoom platform, what happens? I meet you today within this time period, and then I'm gone. You cannot come back to this particular conversation, right? Whereas when I do it through WhatsApp or through videos, where the children can store these videos, communication happens much better. And we could communicate with the parents very well and the students very well, and they could go back to whatever was being learned. Now, in a situation of an offline school, communication with the parent, very, very important. It's important that I personally have a weekly interaction with my parents, And the teachers have a regular, Saturdays are off. So Saturdays are kept for teachers to be able to communicate with the parents, or parents to communicate with the teachers, or students, if they want to communicate with the teachers or want to go to the library or whatever. We need to communicate. Communication is key. It's absolutely key. Because you walk into a classroom, you have your little books and copies in your hand, and you say, okay, children, open to page number so and so, blah, 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 blah. And she does her bit, and then she says, have you understood? Everybody says, yes, we've understood, and she's left. Whereas, when you walk into a classroom, A, walk in prepared, B, don't keep on consulting your books and copies. Know your topic, and then make sure that you're looking at every child and you're communicating with them. You're ensuring that they have your attention and you have their attention. So communication is key to growth, whether it's personal growth or whether it's a growth in an academic environment, whether it's growth in a family environment. Communication is absolutely key.
Absolutely, ma'am. It's essential for anything and everything that we are, coming up with. We are interacting is another way of communicating and, expressing views and telling people what one should feel and how should be dealt with. So, ma'am, coming to another question is, why is keeping a check on mental health of students is also very crucial?
See, the whole problem is this, that we don't know what backgrounds our kids are coming from. They could be coming from a very affluent background, or they could be coming from a very low income background. Now, we don't know what their backstory is. All right. So a child is sitting in the class, probably having a stomach ache or whatever, because he hasn't had anything to eat in the morning, for example. Right. So now I need to ensure that I understand why this child is looking so upset. What is he going through? What is his mental state right now? If I am a sensitive person, I will ask the child, Beta, what is the matter? Or if the child is hesitant to talk to me in front of the whole class, maybe I step out of the class and bring the child out and say, Beta, what is your problem? What has happened? And maybe he, relates to me the fact that he's hungry. He hasn't had any food. And that's why he's not being able to concentrate. And that is what is making him feel very upset. So mentally, he's not in the classroom because he's so hungry. But if I don't communicate that to him, or he doesn't communicate that to me, it's important that we understand the mental state of each and every student, because we really don't know their backstory. What is making them upset? What is making them happy? What makes them happy? How can we communicate better with them and make them understand that school is not only a place where the teacher is going to be speaking at you, the teacher will be speaking to you, because she wants you to grow emotionally, mentally, academically, in every way. It's important to be addressed, to ensure that we know why a child is behaving in a certain fashion. Every school must have a counselor, so that the child is also counseled, not only by the teacher, but by a proper counselor who's trained for counseling. So it's important, because the growth of a child can get very stunted if the child is unable to have mental peace. He should be mentally at ease when he comes to work, when he comes to school. So it's important. And the same works for teachers as well.
Absolutely, ma'am. So, what do you think, ma'am, should be the basic guidelines or the mandates school should follow or the teachers should follow in terms of communicating well with students?
Well,
So, yeah.
the first and foremost, most important mandate that all schools should have, as I have said earlier, right at the beginning, is the mandate should be the student-teacher ratio should be kept on a lower level, which means instead of 1:70, 1:50, it should be 1:40, because we have such large classrooms. 1:40, still I would prefer 1:30, right? That would be optimum for teacher and student growth. So that is one mandate that I would probably want to be seen. But since schools are becoming very commercial in the way they behave, or corporate, not even commercial, let's say very corporate in the way they behave, because they have targets, they have certain dynamics, certain financial targets to meet, all of that. So they fill up these classes. But even so, I feel the mandate should definitely be one for that. Number two, the mandate should be continuous communication between parent, teacher, parent, student. That's very important so that we at all times are aware of what the backstory of a child is, why he's in a situation that is not good, or why he's so happy, and can be an example, can set an example for other people. So that is the other thing, is communication with parent and student and teacher and the management all together in different zones. So these are the 2 or 3 basic mandates of student teacher ratio. Communication, very important. Ensure that these 2 are done. These are the mandates I would do, and automatically the rest will follow. And every school must have a trained psychologist or counselor to take care of these children as well, and the staff and teachers as well.
Absolutely, ma'am. So, ma'am, I have a quick question to you. Do you think any student activities or student interactive activities that can, come along with the teachers can really help their mental health, or maybe,
Yes, absolutely. I agree with what you're saying. Sometimes I feel, the kids are all always bogged down into classrooms. I think they should be taken out of the classroom, sit under a tree, have a little like a Gurukul kind of a thing there, or have a lot of corporate games. Kids where they're involved in all kinds of games. So set aside time for the students on a daily basis to do this, to go out of their classrooms and just have fun and enjoy with the teachers, with corporate games and mental maths and mental games and all of that. But take them out of the classroom environment, take them and put them in a library, or put them in your playgrounds or wherever. That definitely helps, and the kids absolutely love it.
Absolutely, ma'am. So, to close everything around, I would just like to ask how mental health of teachers and staffs was getting affected during the pandemic.
Well, that was a different story altogether. I think the loss of parents, the loss of people in families really was a tough one. Plus, the teachers who were coming to their jobs from age to 30, suddenly they were at home. And suddenly the pressure of doing everything at home as well as teaching. They were teaching, they were cooking, they were cleaning, they were taking care of their own children, getting their own children to get into their Zoom classes or whatever. The pressures were tremendous on the teachers, tremendous pressures on the teachers. And I think that is what happened, was that during the pandemic, teachers were very, extremely, I think, stressed, as were the parents, because suddenly the child is sitting at home. They would attend their class for what, 3 hours, 4 hours? After that, 24 hours, 20 hours with the child, trying to keep him occupied within a closed environment. I think the parents also went through a lot of stress. And the children, they went absolutely crazy. And the older children, they became very dependent on mobile phones and virtual lives. And they just became virtual children. They stopped having friends. They just were on their phones doing their whatever, TikToks or whatever they were doing, or playing their PUBGs or their games, and they lost touch with reality. So I think that COVID did more harm, or the pandemic did more harm than it did any good. I don't think it did any good. It did more harm, definitely. And we were trying our level to keep everything close in such a way that we kept on communicating with them. And I had teachers breaking down in Zoom meetings. I had parents breaking down. I had parents come here and talk to me and tell me how difficult it is for them to take care of their children at home. So all around, it was a very tough time. Definitely, I would say that.
Absolutely, ma'am, because all of a sudden everything was online and you were not even prepared. So there are a lot of teachers. I mean, there are a lot of teachers from different age groups who are not familiar with technology, or who haven't have been in this process or scenario of getting everything online, sitting right back at your home. So there was a lot of pressure and stress in terms of learning also. So because there are certain times that you live in a denial also.
So see, I have a very young staff. My staff is all between the ages of 23 to 48. So I have a relatively young staff. I'm the eldest in my staff. So I have a very young staff. So these young girls were very quick with all their communication skills. It was the older lot that had a bit of a problem because it was for them to something new to learn and to be able to. Younger kids are very quick at communication, but the older lot definitely had a lot of problems in learning how to deal with technology. Technology was a very big problem for the older lot. But the younger lot, I think they were pretty all right with it.
They were very familiar with the
Yes.
technology, I would say. But the older so actually the problem I would feel is because all of a sudden they were all alone, no
Yeah.
help, no somebody who could guide them or and make them understand. So if this is not working this way, you can probably go that way. So
Yeah.
maybe that is the only reason which was creating more anxiety and stress in terms of teaching online and coming all together to a platform where everything was certainly new.
I think the pressures were tremendous because when we were on the online mode, I also was conducting little workshops with my teachers, first in small groups, and then one day I called everybody onto the Zoom platform, which was my admin staff, it was my teaching staff, it was my non-teaching staff, and it was amazing how so many of my teachers broke down because they'd lost some loved ones or they were just under too much pressure, could not handle the pressure. So many teachers broke down, and that made me it gave me an insight into just how much pressure these teachers and these parents were going through.
Or could perhaps be overwhelmed for the fact everybody is coming together at a platform after a very long time.
Yeah,
So
right.
could be an overwhelming feeling too. So this was indeed a very great session talking about mental health and student mental health apart from teachers as well. So I absolutely, ma'am. You've given the insight to what exactly happens in a outside world and where everybody gets to understand different scenarios and deal with different scenarios at different times and locations. So, ma'am, we clearly understand your thought process as well as the working of the entire system. And truly, we would like to have you back and with another topic and session. So we would like to sign off for today's session. I, Sakshi, host of the afternoon, would like to tell you to do subscribe our channel, hit the notification button, and very very thank you. We are glad to have you, Mala ma'am, with
Thank
us.
you so much. It was my pleasure. Anytime at all. Right? Thank you so
Actually,
much. Signing off. Take care and lots of love to your entire team for
thank you.
hosting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.